who's, I think we can report, in the region. He joins us by phone. Eric, I don't know if you've heard the latest update, but there's been an explosion. Looks like an IED, maybe even a car bomb, at the airport. What are you hearing, sir?
At both Barron and Abbey Gates, and a complex attack, including automatic weapons fire. Multiple casualties, lots of carnage. It's terrible.
I understand you're getting ready to take another flight, so we're try to do this quickly. When you say complex attack, you mean multiple locations, small arms fire. So this is a coordinated attack they've been working through.
Abbey Gate is used by the British. Barron is used by the Americans.
So they hit both of us. What else have you heard, Eric? You can just roll with it. I understand it's tough to hear us where you are. What else are you hearing about this attack?
They closed the gates. Excuse me, I got to sign off for just 1 second.
Okay, we got Eric Prince live on the phone. Let's go back to Sam Faddis. Let me know, my producer knows, great job. Let me know when you got Eric again. Eric is en route in the region and en route to other locations. Sam, we're hearing now it might be both gates. Eric just said that. I'm hearing that from other people. If they were able to pull off IEDs, and by the way, in the cold open, we've got the happy talk of the media and actually the White House. Oh, we're working with the Taliban. The Taliban's letting us go through. The Taliban's working with us. All this kind of pablum. They have not addressed the American people like adults. The only time they've done anything like that, or tried to, is when people like Andrea Mitchell, who's seeing her globalist project kind of turned to ashes right now, have pressed them. If this is Abbey Gate and Barron Gate, which one, the British use one and the Americans use the other, it's both multiple IEDs and small arms fire. How complicated is that to pull off, and how much organization do they have to have if this is ISIS-K or if it's Al-Qaeda or one of these other groups or maybe a little more militant with the Taliban?
Well, look, the Taliban's in control of Afghanistan. They're in control of Kabul, and the Haqqanis specifically have locked down Kabul. So the idea that ISIS or anybody else is running around on the streets of Kabul against the wishes of the Taliban and undetected by the Taliban is nonsensical. So whoever pressing the switch and detonating the device is doing it either at the direction of the Taliban or at least with their complicity. There's no such thing as an ISIS cell running around in Kabul evading the Haqqanis when they have checkpoints about every 50 meters on every street. So this is the Taliban sending a signal that it is time for you to go. And if the Biden administration wants to buy into that and be complicit in that lie to the American people, that's fine, but I'm not going along with that. That's absurd.
Walk through give your curriculum vitae, your bona fides for this region, and then tell people about the Haqqani network. For people that are casual viewers, it's a phrase they maybe have not heard for 10 or so years, a decade. Walk us through your expertise in the region, and also walk us through what the Haqqani network means.
Right. Well, look, I've been involved with human intelligence operations for over 30 years now, going back to the late 80s, all over the Middle East, all over South Asia, and working against all of these groups. The Haqqanis, look, the Taliban is largely a confederacy, right? It's not some monolithic thing, and the Haqqanis are sort of part of that confederacy. They are a grouping of tribes, and they have been up to their eyeballs in connections to Al-Qaeda for a very, very long time. Literally, they were running Mujahideen training camps back when bin Laden was first going to Afghanistan, when the Soviets were still there. They're the guys that got bin Laden to safety at Tora Bora. Drawing, in large measure, drawing a distinction between the Haqqanis and Al-Qaeda is a waste of time. I mean, these guys are joined at the hip. They work together. They have the same objectives. They are absolutely ruthless. So, again, when you put these guys with all these fighters in control of Kabul, and then they want to start telling us, which apparently they are, that, oh my God, we got ISIS cells loose in Kabul and we can't find them. You're in grave danger. That's laughable, honestly. I'm surprised they can say that with a straight face. And the fact that the Biden administration picks it up just shows how morally bankrupt they are. They're looking for an excuse to justify to the American people why they're shutting this thing down and cutting our people away. So they'll grab a hold of this lie, but that's all it is. And one way or the other, the Taliban just blew up IEDs at the Kabul airport to say, get out.
Now they're saying get out, and even the State Department, because they put this warning out last night, stay away from the gates and stay away from the airport. There's still, even according to the State Department, 1,500 Americans somewhere in Kabul, right? We're hearing many thousands, maybe throughout the country, and we're also hearing that there's, Michael Yan and others reporting there's anywhere from 7,000 to 10,000 still in Kabul. Do you have any updates on that from all your sources of how many Americans are even close? In other words, are we closer to the 1,500 number, or are we closer to the 10,000 number?
Yeah, well, on balance, I would go with Michael Yan's data over what you're getting from the State Department. The bottom line is nobody knows. If the State Department came up with a 1,500 number, that's a fiction. They started by telling us they don't know how many Americans are there. They barely know how many Americans they've taken out of country. So we are getting ready. We are, in fact, in the process right now, apparently, because we're shutting the evac down, of simply abandoning thousands and thousands of Americans to in a country that is now under the control of a terrorist group. That's the reality of what's happening. When I hear myself say that, I'm almost like, good God, that can't possibly be true, right? But that's how insane this situation is. That's where we are. This president is cutting them away. Nothing's going to change. He's not extending anything, and he's making no effort to get them out.
Do you consider, whether it's 1,500 or 10,000, do you consider the people left behind, first, the American citizens, second, any Afghans that work with us, and third, any NGOs or people from other countries? Do you consider those people hostages right now to the Taliban?
They are at a minimum hostages. And then we will hope that they just don't end up being massacred, but they are 100% hostages. Listen, there is no kinder, gentler Taliban. There is no new, soft, fuzzy face of the Taliban. We know who these folks are. We have abandoned our people to, I don't know, the 12th century under the control of an Islamic emirate. It's insanity, and that's exactly what an American alleged president is doing right now.
I want to go back and just update the audience who maybe is just coming in to this, an explosion. Sam, you want to take it, IED attacks, looks like maybe definitely one gate, maybe two gates, small arms fire, casualties both from the explosion, maybe from small arms fire. You want to take it and just walk our audience through it, Sam?
Right, so well we've had to my knowledge, we've had at least one car bomb attack, but Eric Prince indicates that there have been two, and I suspect that's correct, along with small arms fire. We definitely have fatalities. This is all occurring at entrances to Kabul airport. Right at the gates where people are pressing through, trying to get through the wall. So these explosions have occurred right there. We've got multiple fatalities. We've got wounded. We don't have a count on that. I am hearing that at least some of those fatalities are Americans. And the last I checked, I was trying to it was undetermined whether that included U.S. military, but it definitely includes American citizens killed.
Do we have still, Eric, I don't know if Eric Prince is still, we still have the open line to Eric Prince. Eric Prince, if you can hear us, I know we got Eric. Eric, can you hear us? I know we got an open line to you.
I got you loud and clear, Steve. How me?
Any update from you from what you're hearing, sir?
Barron and Abbey Gates, complex attacks, which includes explosives, IEDs, and small arms fire. So it is a terrible day. It was already pretty much the wrap-up day. The U.S. Mill was closing gates today, and it looks like ISIS struck. There's been lots of warnings about this the last few days by the State Department. I'm sure from some kind of signals intercept they were getting. But the really bad guys struck and certainly killed a lot of innocent people. Unknown whether any U.S. soldiers have been killed or injured by this. But, this is the coldest political decision, I think, made in the history of the Republic. to just say, "Oh, we're done and we're cutting away," and their excuse is that if the Americans are not there by a certain time, then they didn't want to leave, and so it's on your own. So it's I've never heard of anything like this in American history, and it is. I think Jen Psaki called me soulless yesterday for trying to help. Well, if abandoning thousands of American citizens in a terror superstate isn't soulless, I don't know what is. I'm not trying to make any money doing this, but unlike the government, I need real money to do this, because you can imagine how expensive it is convincing a jet owner of a $50 million jet to fly it into a place where there's no insurance. The federal government just spends money and creates it out of fiat, and it just speaks to the absolute clueless cosplay class of leadership, of non-leadership we have in Washington, D.C., and this is the tantamount pinnacle moment of their wrongdoing, of their stupidity, their malfeasance, and I would even say evil.
Eric, we've only got a couple of minutes. I know you got to take off, but I got to ask you again. When you say it's the coldest decision you've ever seen in the history of this republic, just go back over it again. The decision was just to cut and run and to leave American citizens to the tender mercies of the Taliban. Can you give it to us again?
Well, yeah, the tender mercies of the Taliban, of Al-Qaeda, of ISIS, unknown who cranked off these car bombs just in the last couple of hours. But whether it's Americans being beaten and stripped of their documents, assaulted and even murdered, to now literally being killed by acts of terror in their last few meters while they're trying to get to freedom, this is unprecedented. At least the U.S., when they were leaving Vietnam, made very good efforts to rescue people and didn't cut away until they couldn't do it anymore. In this case, Biden just said, "Okay, we're out. We're listening to the Taliban, and we're the United States of America, and we're negotiating with terrorists. We're depending on terrorists to let us out, and I worry that this can get much worse." So I am every day I wake up a little more stunned as to what the Biden administration is doing, and the next morning it's even worse. I mean, this idea that all Americans are out that want to be out. One of my colleagues woke up to 420 voicemails this morning for people calling and begging for help for extract.
Eric, we're going to ask you to try to keep the line open. We got to go to a short commercial break. When we return, we got Eric Prince from the region. We got Sam Faddis from the CIA. We're going to have General Bolduc, who's head of Special Forces over there. We got Jason Jones. We're going to have John Mills from the combined staff. All of us do live coverage of the attack in Kabul airport. We'll be back in a moment in the War Room.